Podcast with Aaron Cowk.
I throw balls far. You want good words? Data language.
Talk real sports with a real man.
Come after me! I'm a man! I'm 40!
And now, here's the be-all, end-all, know-it-all of high school, college, and pro sports. Aaron Skinny Cowk with the Skinny on Sports.
We're talking about practice, man. I'm the MVP.
Good morning, Western Oklahoma. It is the Skinny on Sports, 98.1 FM, 1240 AM, KADS, the Sports Animal. Hope you're having a fantastic start to your Thursday here on a beautiful Thursday morning in Western Oklahoma. I'm Jared Athas sitting in for Aaron today and will be tomorrow. Aaron, I just conversed with him. He's on his way back. He, of course, went down to Augusta, enjoyed some of the festivities at the Masters. Making his way back as we speak, actually driving through Atlanta, and I was efforting to see if he could get on the show with us and maybe give us give us his quick thoughts about the Masters, maybe give us his picks, and give us a little peek into what Augusta was like during his visit. I'm sure we're going to get the full rundown from him on Monday, but there's still a chance that he could call in because he is driving through Atlanta right now, and he kind of wanted to be focused in on driving through one of our major U.S. cities. As I would suspect, I think it's about 10 o'clock there, so maybe rush hour has kind of died down a little bit, but if he gets through that within the hour, we might hear from him. I'm flying solo today. This is actually a first for me to do the show solo. I've done other shows solo. I've done weather coverage solo and all that stuff, but it's the first time I've done the Skinny on Sports by myself. Aaron's done it plenty of times, so I guess this is payback for when I leave him, that I get to do the show by myself, so I'll do my best. But I do encourage you to be a part of the show. Call me, text me. You can try to call me. All the same, 580-225-9698. I love the input on the text line, and I want to hear your input, your questions. So basically, you can be the co-host of the show if you just text on in, 580-225-9698 to be a part of the show. And right off the bat, Sam's making sure I push the record button. I did, my friend. I did. And that means you will have a replay of the show at your convenience. KADSAM.com is the website you can go. You can find all of our past shows right there. You could also go to our Facebook page, Skinny on Sports Facebook page. Just search Skinny on Sports. A few clicks away, and you're there, and you can listen to it there. And we're working on the podcast. The podcast has been kind of on the fritz, but those are two easy ways that you can find the Skinny on Sports if you want to replay it. If you're outside the listening area, don't forget to download the Paragon app. Just search Paragon. It should pop right up. It encompasses all of our networks, all of our radio stations, KUCO, KADS, of course, Cool 94, and it's a link, it's a way to get to any live broadcasts when we have live broadcasts on Paragon TV. Kind of a dead period right now, although we'll pick up with some spring sports. And speaking of spring sports, we'll do a quick update on Elk City baseball coming up towards the end of the show. But the Paragon app, you want to go check that out for yourself and get involved there. 580-225-9698. Again, I stress, please text on in. Hey, so quick look at what I wrote down, what we can talk about today. The Masters, of course, starts today. That's on everybody's mind, but we're going to have to wait for about another, 20 minutes, about 9:30 tee-off time for the first group because of some weather in the area. But from everything I'm hearing, that's all that we're going to see as far as weather is concerned in Augusta. Nothing more after this little delay, and then everything might be... I hope they can get that first round in today before darkness sets in, but Friday looks good, Saturday, Sunday looks great, and I think we'll have a normal schedule for the next 3 days. So that won't tip off until 9:30. There has been some talk of a disadvantage for some golfers because of the later start, namely Tiger Woods. I saw some banter this morning if this is a disadvantage for him because of his recovery process from each round to each round, because now that process has been shortened between round one and round two. So that's one storyline that has developed there. Of course, yesterday was the par 3 contest, and a lot of Oklahoma flair, or should I say a lot of Oklahoma State representation there. Of course, Ricky Fowler, he won it. First time he was absent from the Masters for the last 3 years. He's back, of course, and he started things off pretty good, winning the par 3 contest. Always a fun, loose atmosphere. The par 3 is with the families. Some highlights that are made not by the golfers, but sometimes by their caddies or their kids. I know Bubba Watson's kid made a nice putt that was making the rounds on social media. Really cool thing to see right there. And it's really cool to see Ricky win that par 3 contest. And, there's an article on ESPN. Does this give him a little confidence and maybe slip on the green jacket? Who knows? He's going to be an incredible long shot to do it, but it's nice to see anything that can give him confidence right there. And, of course, the other big news yesterday was Victor Hovland, the one of the 1, 2, 3, was it 4 aces, 4 hole-in-ones yesterday during the par 3 contest. Victor Hovland was one of them. He has that's a good sign too. If you're a fan of Victor Hovland, he's a little up there on the chances list or on the favorites list. I think around 7th or 8th according to Vegas. If you're going to rank him on who's the favorite to the least favorite, he's up there. So maybe a good sign right there for a couple of Cowboys. But that was pretty neat to see. Had nice weather yesterday there. You saw some clouds hanging around, and then they hear the talk of, well, there might be some weather delay. In fact, they made that call about the weather delay before I even hit the sack last night. Let's see, I don't know what time it was, but again, some storms blowing through. So I think it was because of wind and rain was the main concern. Then they just want to let that blow on through, and they'll start things off at 9:30. The one thing we didn't do, me and Scott this week, was look at the pairings, which is always interesting to see who's paired with who, and maybe a pairing that you want to follow throughout maybe the first round. And sometimes you get some names that are paired together. Pretty fun to watch. And I'll just kind of scroll through and looking at the top names of the pairings. Gary Woodland and Bryson DeChambeau, they're paired together, and along with Zach Johnson. Zach Johnson is paired with, well, he's really the first amateur that shows up is Christo Lamprecht. I'm going to butcher some names, and I apologize. Actually, Santiago de la Fuente is the first amateur that will tee off today at about 9:42. And we're always looking for the big names when you look at these pairings and who they are with. Sergio Garcia, a name you're familiar with, at 9:42 as well. Phil Mickelson and Tony Finau are paired together. They'll tee off at 11. Oh, I'm sorry. Those are Central Time. So they'll tee off at 11:06, Phil and Tony. And looking for Ricky Fowler, there he is at 11:36 today. He's paired up with Patrick Cantlay and Minwoo Lee. Will Zalatoris, a lot of people like him. I'm one of them. He's my dark horse. Paired up with Justin Thomas. He's another guy I like. They'll tee off at 11:48. John Rahm, the defending champ. High noon. He's paired up with Matt Fitzpatrick and Nick Dunlap. That's a good threesome right there. Scotty Scheffler, Rory McIlroy, Xander Schauffele. Now that's, I think, is going to be on everybody's watch list. They'll tee off at 12:12 today. Victor Hovland, Cameron Smith, and Wyndham Clark tee off right after that at 12:24. The pairings are really nice. I'm so relieved that the boss man's walking in here. Gabe's going to help me out. I was just saying, Gabe, other mic. There you go.
Brand new at this.
So it is Masters Thursday, but we got to wait a little bit because of the weather delay. In fact, they'll actually tee off here in, I think, in about 15, 17 minutes. But I was just looking at the pairings. But before we do all that, do you pick them? Do you have a favorite, or do you just watch as a fan? Do you have somebody you're watching?
Me and my wife Stephanie both picked, and we picked a PGA player, and we picked a long shot, and we picked a live player. Both of us picked both.
Now that's an interesting way to do it.
Yeah.
Because we have always, on this show, just did a top 3, and then we pick a dark horse that can't be in the top 25 of the world golf rankings.
Okay.
We kind of keep it simple.
Well,
but that's an interesting way.
It was, and I picked, let's see, she wrote them all down last night. It was 2 nights ago. We were watching some of the Masters coverage, because they cover it forever. And I watched the par 3 all day yesterday, and it was It's just so fun to watch. Everybody's out there just having fun.
That's my event, I think, because everyone's out there having fun and
They
it's
are.
loose, and the families are out there. They're not so serious. They're letting the kids take the putts. They're letting their wives, who are their caddies most of the time, maybe take some shots from the tee box. That's kind of fun for me to see all this, and then you get to hear from the golfers. They'll mic up the golfers and they'll talk to them and ask them how they're
what
they're going through, how you approaching this, and all of that stuff.
And they're talking. What's cool is they're talking as they're putting. He was talking to Adam Scott yesterday while he was walking up to a putt, and he's talking through his putt.
Yeah.
Like, not talking about his putt, just talking to the announcers about his kids and stuff like that. So, it's not that serious. They're just out there having fun. And, except for Ricky Fowler, he's taking it serious. He wanted to win that sucker to break the curse.
Yeah, first time he's there in 3 years is what I saw.
Yeah, and he's, nobody that's ever won that has won the Masters, ever.
Well, I was just saying before he walked in, maybe this is a confidence booster for him.
Yeah.
To see that, to loosen him up a little bit. Go, okay, I can still play with these guys, more or less. So that was cool. And Victor Hovland had a hole-in-one yesterday.
Man, there was like 7. I think there was 6 or 7 hole-in-ones yesterday.
I tried to count it on the fly. I couldn't do it. But, yeah, he was one of them, which was cool. Because it had a little Oklahoma State flair at the par 3
I think Woodland hit one, and then his next hole.
Straka?
Yep, Sepp Straka.
Hovland, Woodland, Glover. Was it just 4?
Was there just 4? It looked. We watched it Woodland almost hit 2 because he hit the pin and it went. I mean, DeChambeau hit 1, but it was after he had already hit in the water once, and so he hit again and he dunked it right in the hole.
You mean he hit it? He flew it at one time?
Well, he hit it once in the water, and then he teed back up again, and then went in the hole the next time. So the best 3 you could possibly get.
So I was looking at the pairings, and there's some good ones.
Yeah.
Obviously, they do this strategically to keep viewers on and all of that. One of my favorite pairings, I think. Well, we're all going to watch John Rahm, the defending champ. How's he going to look? He's with Matt Fitzpatrick and Nick Dunlap. Now, this is the pairing that I think, you could turn on your ESPN Plus or their coverage, and they have a featured group. I'll put any money down that this is going to be the featured group: Scotty Scheffler, Rory McIlroy, Xander Schauffele.
Well, that's. I mean, we didn't pick a dark horse out of the top 25 like you guys do. We should have, but I didn't think of that. But I picked Xander as a long shot just because I say a dark horse. I think he's more than a dark horse. I think he could come win it.
Yeah,
Xander done. One thing about Ricky Fowler, Jordan Spieth. Some of these guys that have peaked and then kind of fell off, they have kids, and it changes everything.
Absolutely does.
Xander doesn't have kids, and he's just he's patient. I seen an interview on him just yesterday, and he's just relaxed, man. He's like, listen, I'm being patient with kids and different. I don't have any kids, so dude's on his game, and I think he could be a winner this year. That's who Aaron picked. I believe that's who Aaron likes.
That's who I picked too. That's who I went with. And I was relieved when I saw Aaron send that text. Okay, because I BS through this. I won't lie. I'm a very novice golfing fan. I like watching golf, but Aaron is what I call in the house here the expert when it comes.
Yeah,
to
I would
this.
say so.
He would know. He knows how the course plays, tendencies to each golfer, who it advantage for the weather, all that stuff. So. Me, I always look at, and I've said this over and over, I look at recency. How have they played last week or the week before? How did they finish? Oh, this guy finished top 5 3 weeks in a row? Okay, I'll put him in my top 3.
Yeah.
Something like that. But I see what you're saying about the kid thing. I can definitely relate. I used to golf a lot without kids, and then when I've had kids, my priorities changed, but I still love going out.
Exactly right.
Yeah, I'm not, but it changes my attitude. Oh, I hit in the water? No big deal. But so it changes the approach. But that group right there, Scotty Scheffler, Rory McIlroy, Xander Schauffele is good. Now, everyone's wondering, where's Tiger? What time does he tee off? Because that's another one that moves the needle. And
I'd like to get another expert on the phone if we could. We'll do it on what time we're going to go to break here in a minute. After the break. Yeah. I'm going to bring in another expert, a surprise expert for today.
Expert.
I'm kind of curious of what his thoughts are on a couple of different things. Live Golf for one. Live Golf players playing in the Masters. And some of these different things that I'd like to just get his input on. So, a little surprise guest coming up.
A surprise guest. Break. Okay. We'll have a surprise guest coming up, and we'll take that break. But first, Tiger Woods, Jason Day, Max Homa at 2:54 today.
I don't know.
Our time.
I think after watching some of Tiger's interviews, I don't think that Tiger thinks that he can win it like he used to. I think he was talking big on Rory. Rory's going for the Grand Slam.
Yeah.
Rory hasn't won it yet. I just don't think that. I don't think that Tiger really. I think he's glad to be there. He likes the surroundings. He likes being there, but I don't think that he can.
Yeah, as long as he's physically able to do it.
Yeah.
And he's always going to be invited. He's going to play it. That's a given. And then I think anything's a bonus if he can get to Saturday and be within striking distance, then you'll start to see Tiger turn it on a little bit. But I'm with you. I think he's just happy to be there. I talked earlier because of the delay. There was talk this morning on sports stations about how that's a disadvantage for Tiger. He needs as long as a recovery time between rounds. And because of this delay, that has shortened a little bit.
It has.
If you ever read about how he recovers, it's a process,
pretty
a long,
extensive
process, because he's been pretty beat up, and that kind of shortens that. So that kind of concerns me, disappoints me, because I want to see him make the cut. I want to see him on Saturday, Sunday. Again, that moves the needle. Not to say people are going to turn off the Masters because Tiger's not there. Everybody's going to watch the Masters, but it's especially special when he is playing on Saturday and Sunday, especially if he's there on that first couple rows of leaderboards when they flash up. Oh, well, there he is.
Yeah.
But yeah, so he's tees off at 2:54 today.
Gabe and Jared here with you today as we got our guest just about on the phone today. Alex Alvarez will be our guest this morning. He has got a story for everything in the world, and he has got a definite opinion about the Masters. And we're going to ask him a couple of questions about one thing I want to know is from Alex Alvarez, the retired professional golfer from right here in Elk City Golf and Country Club. Alex, welcome into the show.
Thank you for having me.
Alex, we want to ask you a couple of questions, and the reason we brought you on air today is because one thing I know you have is an opinion. Two is I know that you have 75 stories to tell, and especially about golf. And what are your thoughts? A couple of things. It's Masters Week. What's the first thing comes to mind when you think of the Masters?
Well, it's the first major of the year. It's the most, I think, because it's the first major of the year and because of who started it and everything, that it's the most anticipated tournament in the world.
And why is it most anticipated? Because of it's kind of sacred ground though there.
Well, it is sacred grounds. It's the first major. It's the only major that it's played in the same golf course every year.
Yeah.
And it is the smallest field of all the majors. Originally, Bobby Jones and Clifford Roberts, when they started this, they bought that land. It was a fruit land. It was called Fruitland, and it was a nursery. And they bought like 400 acres in Augusta, Georgia, in 1932. Bobby Jones had retired in 1930 after he won the four majors of the time, which was the U.S. Open and the U.S. Amateur and the British Open and the British Amateur. And so he retired at age 28 in 1930, and they bought this acreage in Augusta, Clifford Roberts and him. And then they brought an architect by the name of Alistair Mackenzie, who had designed Cypress Point in California, and so they opened the golf course in 1933. So in 1933, it was just called the. I'm sorry, it was 1934. They opened the golf course in 33 with just for people to go and look at it. And in 1934, they did the first Masters, but it was not called the Masters. National Invitational. And Bobby Jones invited all the people of the time that were the best golfers of the time, amateurs and professionals, to play in his tournament. And in 1935, when Gene Satterson won and was coming from 3 shots behind, and he made a double eagle on number 15 to tie and then won on the playoff, the guys, the press of that time said, well, this should be called the Masters because it's all the Masters that play, all the Masters of the game that play in this tournament. So the name stuck, and then they call it the Masters on the third year.
Well, Alex,
So,
Alex, you guys, I'm sure you watch the Masters every year. This year's a little bit different.
Every year.
This year's a little bit different because it seems like you've got 2 sets of kinds of golfers coming in. And I hear all of them talking about, well, we haven't seen DeChambeau play anywhere. We haven't seen Dustin Johnson play. They haven't seen them play anywhere because they're playing on the LIV Tour. And so the question is, does the LIV players have enough rounds underneath them to stay sharp around the greens and to compete here in the Masters?
Well, I believe so. The LIV players made a choice to make, in my opinion, this is my opinion.
Because I knew you had one.
Yeah, to make easy money fast, okay?
Is there anything wrong with that?
Huh?
Is there anything wrong with that?
No, I mean, that was their choice. It was a business decision.
Yeah.
And I don't have anything against it. However, the way the tour was structured since the beginning was to make the tour players the best tour in the world. And for years it was like that, and it's still like that. They have the best players in the world. So these guys bought players. So LIV owns those players. They have a contract with the players. If they decide, if anybody of them decide to leave LIV and come back to the tour, they have to pay a big fine to LIV back.
Oh yeah,
so
to get out of their contract probably.
Yeah, exactly. So they're not going to do that because they would have to pay at least like 70% of whatever they got.
Right.
To be there.
So back to the original question. Do you think they have enough rounds? Do you think they still have the skill to play with Scotty Scheffler, Xander Schauffele, and Rory?
Well, one of my favorite players plays in LIV, and that's Bruce Koepka. And he is a PGA defending champion next month.
Mm-hmm.
And he was second last year to Ram. Ram was not in LIV at the time, but now he is. And so, yes, if you're a good player like some of these guys are, and I'm talking about three specific guys that are in LIV. The Australian, what's his name, that won the Open a couple of years back. The name goes by right now. And he's Australian. And then
Jason
Ram
Day?
and
Cameron Smith.
No, Jason. Cameron Smith.
Cameron Smith.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, and Cameron Smith, John Ram, and Brooks Koepka, and maybe DeChambeau, they have the talent to play at any time, anywhere, if they keep practicing. Okay, if you play on tour, most of the players on tour, they play between 15 and 20 tournaments a year, and but they play 72 holes. And you play against 150 players, and they're so good. I mean, these guys are so good. Look at the scores last week. The guy that won 20 under par, the two guys that won 20 under par, and they were 9 shots ahead of third place, which was Rory McIlroy. So, there's a lot of talent on tour, and the guys that went to LIV. Many of them, they were in their 40s or late 30s, and they were marginal players on tour. I'm talking on tour, compared to the stars like John Ram and all that.
Yeah.
That okay. So they knew that they were not going to ever make as much money as Live offered them when they went to Live. Same with Ram. I mean, you get $350 million advance and another guarantee of $200 million. I mean, you're talking Tiger Woods numbers, but he did it over 25 years. So I mean, if I would have been in that position and I was not on top of my game in order to compete with the other guys,
yeah, it's
majors,
a great decision.
I would have gone over there too.
Yeah, it's a great decision for Patrick Reed and some of those guys that just
exactly.
They're pretty good, but they're not really making the money on top of the PGA.
Exactly.
So it was a great decision for those guys if they were going to get the money.
Financially, was.
We haven't talked. We only mentioned it once, but if we're going to have you on the air, we've got to talk Tiger Woods. What do you think about Tiger Woods in the Masters? Do you think he's just enjoying the moment, or do you think that he thinks he can win?
Well, I have been surprised by Tiger Woods so many times that I don't know. It didn't surprise me. It did not surprise me in '96 when he turned pro. Right after, in August of '96, when he turned pro, and forfeited his invitation to the Masters as an amateur because he had won the U.S. Amateur that year. And so the U.S. Amateur, the Masters invites like 6 to 10 amateurs every year. That's part of the field. And so he was invited to the Masters, but he had to remain amateur. And some of the guys that I was playing golf and, being friends with at the time, they said, this guy is, what a stupid. He's not going to be able to play in the Masters. I said, I can bet you that he's going to be able to play in the Masters next year. And he did. He won in '96, late in '96, and he won early in '97, and then he won the Masters. So it didn't surprise me. What surprised me at the time was he wins the Masters by 12 strokes or something, and then he starts changing his swing. So he did not win another major until '99. But from '99 to 2005, I mean, it was unreal how good he became, and then he started changing his swing again. So I don't know. I could not tell you what's in his mind. Excuse me.
As Jared said, for him having to recover and having a short recovery time by them having to delay it today, I think it's so much more major for Tiger Woods than it is anybody else in the field today. All right, before we get off the air,
I got to ask, Alex, you've been to Augusta, right? You've been there, and what? And I've always been fascinated. When we started this talking with you about the grounds itself, and they're sacred now and immaculate and beautiful. Why do fans go to the Masters? Now, the easy answer is because of the players, because you said it. It's the Masters of players. It's the best of the best.
Right.
Do people go to see those grounds, the players, a little bit of both? I mean, why did you go? I mean, I know you're a golf fan, but was it because you're like, man, I'm here. I get to look at the pines. I get to see these immaculate greens. Or is it because I get to watch the best players in the world?
Well, the Masters, like I said, they have the smallest field, so it is when you go to the Masters, when you are invited to the Masters, you are inviting maybe the top 80 professionals in the world, and so. In a regular tour tournament, you have 152 players or 156. So they have reduced that to about 90 players. So it's a lot more difficult to get in the Masters than to get in any other of the majors. All the other majors, they have 152 players or 156. So that's part of it. And then the allure of playing at the same golf course that is so exclusive, and you cannot be a member without an invitation to that place, and so you qualify for an invitation by certain ways, but you have to get invited to play in the Masters.
Yeah,
and they keep that place like any other place on tour. They keep it immaculate, but they have all kinds of different things. For instance, do you know that every green in Augusta has a heating system under the ground?
So it keeps it heated so it never freezes.
It never freezes. So it keeps it at a temperature so that at a certain temperature, so it, the grass grows, the turf grows right and everything.
Huh.
And it's just, unreal some of the stuff that they do. And how much money they spend on the grounds and everything, because like every hole is named after a flower or after a type of vegetation.
Yeah.
And
well, before we get off air, Alex, I'm going to ask you. I'm going to give you a couple of questions, and we're going to check your knowledge of the Masters. First question: how many amateurs have won the Masters?
None.
Exactly correct. In the par 3 contest, how many have won the par 3 and then won the Masters?
None.
Exactly. You're 2 for 2. And then how many, I bet you can get this one. How many times has Jack Nicklaus won the Masters?
6 times.
6 times.
You won the years?
Yes. Yeah. No. Okay. How old was he at his oldest to win the Masters?
46.
46. I can't get one by you. He answered every one of them
the
right.
most important question we didn't ask, and we'll end with this, Alex, is who are you picking?
Yeah.
Well, I'm going to answer like Ben Hogan answered one time. They asked him after he retired, and he was on the booth one time in his lifetime. And the guy says, in a Sunday, says, Mr. Hogan, who do you think is going to win today? And he says, I don't know. That's why they're playing, to see who wins.
Kind of like Yogi Berra.
Yeah. I don't know. That's why they play.
Well, of course, you have if Scotty Scheffler is in his game, which he has been in the last several weeks, he's going to be on top. I think Brooks Koepka has a little bit of a revenge thing, because last year he could have won and he didn't win. John Ram caught him, and now they're both in LIV, and so LIV has a little thing to prove, so to speak, that they have some of the best players in the world, and they do.
Yeah.
And but I wish the Tour and LIV would come up to some sort of agreement in the future, but what they tried to do, was just buy a tour, and they did.
Yeah, they have.
But when you compete only against 48 players every week, and 3 rounds only, versus 150 players, where anyone on the 150 players can win, because they are on tour. They just came back from the other tour, the smaller tour, and how they qualified. The competition is much more, much tougher on tour than on LIV. That doesn't mean that some of the guys in LIV cannot compete with anybody.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I like my favorite player, and I think he's gonna be better than Bruce Koepka this year. Is going to be Jordan Spieth.
Oh.
I like him so much.
I like him too, but I don't think this week is a winner for him. But he's a good player, but he may come out and play it this week at the Masters a little bit different.
Well, this is my stuff with Jordan Spieth was I followed him since 2014, and when he was an amateur, and then when he turned pro right away, and he used to play golf. Now he plays swing. He has been in this thing about his deal about trying to be perfect swing and try to gain distance or whatever. So he has been inconsistent. But in my opinion, he's beginning to play golf again. So we'll see what happens. He can get inspired. That place inspires you, especially if you have one over there.
Yeah.
Rory McIlroy, man, he's there's so much pressure on him to win the Masters because that would complete his Grand Slam. He has won the PGA, the U.S. Open, and the British Open, and he had a chance one year, and he shot 80 and lost by 3 or 4. So, I don't know. I think the guys like even Reed, he's a good player, but he already won over there. Jordan Spieth, I don't know. I could not tell you. I should like Jordan Spieth and Scheffler, the 2 Texans.
Yeah.
Right now.
All right. Well, Alex, thanks for coming on the show with us. I knew you would give us plenty of opinions, stories, and history. So those are 3 things I definitely know. If you guys out there need some photos taken, Alex is an excellent photo taker of your family, golf tournaments, everything. I know that for a fact because I've seen his work, and actually I just received a beautiful picture of number 15, one of 4 prints. Number 15, an 18 by 32, big, wide picture, panoramic view of a picture that he taken there on number 15. So get a hold of Alex Alvarez. He will get you fixed up. So, Alex, thanks for coming on the show with us today.
Thanks, Alex.
Thank you, my friend. We'll see you.
All righty.
Okay.
Yeah, man. A lot of insight there. We could have done the whole hour, I think.
Oh, he could have. He could have houred the whole history, but he's full of history. I just know he loves golf, and he loves the history of golf and the game. All the way across.
Yeah. From the text line, this person says it's Mark from Duke. I was there on Saturday for the round in 2010.
Yeah.
Yes, it's the grounds and players, but for me, and this is a good angle to look at, it's the history, and I think that all kind of encompasses it. The grounds, the players, just to know that you're on sacred grounds, like I said. But I know some people, and golfers appreciate well-maintained courses. They, it's going to a place and go, this place is nice. They've taken care of their greens, they've taken care of their tee boxes and all that stuff. Of course, that is Augusta. And for me personally, I think that's what I'd like to see, because I'm a very novice golf fan, but I'm a fan of well-maintained golf courses and lawns, by the way. And that's a nice segue to talk about our sponsor here of Mr. Scott Kelly and what he can do for you in your lawn. Things are starting to green up, and you decide this is the year to compete for that Yard of the Week sign, or just the bragging rights in your neighborhood. Give them a call, 580-799-5670. That's Superior Lawns. They have granule application programs. It's not just one spray a year and you're done. He can set up a program for you year-round to make sure your lawn is at its top. He has the weed control and fertilization programs in Elk City, Canute, Cheyenne, and Sayre. Give Scott Kelly a call, 580-799-5670. Overdue for a break. We'll take that right now. We'll come back, wrap things up. Thunder played last night, got a blowout win against the Spurs, even though it was out without their rookie superstar. But what's that mean as far as standings are concerned? Because we have 2 more games left in the regular season, and then it's playoff time. Can the Thunder get that 1 seed? Jared Atha with you in studio, wrapping things up on your Thursday. Scott absent today. Scott's been helping me out all week long. He got busy today, and that's fine, because he does a great job what he does. Tomorrow will be a Garrison Financial Friday, and he'll be back in studio to wrap up the week right there. We'll recap the first round of the Masters tomorrow, which is just now teeing off. No scores just yet. At least I am frantically refreshing. We do have some breaking sports news that literally just came across, and I kind of waiting to see if this was true or not. I had some texts come in when we talked to Mr. Alvarez. Thank you Alex for giving us some insight, some golf insight about the Masters and overall his thoughts about it. That was really cool. But back to the sports news. Former NFL player O.J. Simpson has died at the age of 76 after undergoing cancer treatment. So O.J. Simpson, former USC Trojan, Buffalo Bill, and of course infamous for the murder trial in the mid-90s. Was that 94? He has passed away at the age of 76. So that is the sports news. I'll hold off. Our text line's kind of blowing up on that one. Social media is too. I'll hold off on any opinion about O.J. Simpson, but he is gone. When he played the sport before all the controversy and everything, the juice, man. He was one of the iconic players, of course, for USC. Then it carried over into the NFL, and then had an acting career, and then all that other stuff happened. But he is gone. Wow. So that's big news today. Also big news today, again, the Masters starting. A little bit of a late start, and again, we'll recap all of that tomorrow. Last night, the Thunder played the Spurs. It was Spurs without Wembanyama. The rookie sat with an ankle injury, and I bet we don't see him for the rest of the year. Only 2 more regular season games. The Spurs were eliminated about 2 months ago from any kind of playoff contention. I think he's all but wrapped up the Rookie of the Year award. I think it is wrapped up. It's done. So I bet we don't see Wemby in a Spurs uniform anymore this year. But Thunder took advantage of it, which was nice to see. Sometimes you see a little bit of a laxed version of a team going up against a far less superior team, and the Thunder did not let up. They win at 127-89. It was never really close. SGA with 26 on 10 of 18 shooting. Giddey was good. He had 20 points. He had shot 7 of 12 from the field, 10 points from, I believe it's Arkansas, Jalen Williams. And again, Thunder went at 127 to Santa Clara Williams. As a Thunder fan I'm still mixing up the Williams. Shame on me. And off the bench, Gordon Hayward was good. He had 18 points on 6 of 8 shooting. He hit a couple of three-pointers himself. Very good for him. So what's that mean in the standings? Well, the real game last night was between Denver and Minnesota, where Denver would win that game. Final score 116-107. I tried to stay up and watch it. I couldn't. It started at 9 o'clock. But it was big for standings purposes. But basically the Thunder are still in third place. Denver overtakes Minnesota. They take the first place seed as of now with 2 games left. Minnesota in second, or Minnesota and Oklahoma City tied for second, but by virtue of tiebreaker, Minnesota would get the 2 seed and the Thunder would get the 3 seed. Upcoming schedules for Denver, it's pretty easy from what I can remember. The Spurs, as I just mentioned, and then the Grizzlies, both teams they should easily beat. Minnesota, see what they have left on their docket. And waiting for the computer to catch up with me. If there's hope for a 2 seed, you got to see what Minnesota does. They take on the Hawks, and then Phoenix to wrap things up on Sunday. Losable game for Minnesota. There's always that with the Kevin Durant team. We'll see what happens on Sunday afternoon, happening at the same time that the Thunder play on Sunday afternoon at 2:30 against Dallas. I was just telling Gabe before he left that game itself, I'm going to go to that game on Sunday. I was really hoping it would mean something to see the star power. We might see some of it for like the first quarter there. One might set down if the seeds are locked in. Thunder still have to play the Bucks. That's going to be a tough game. That happens on Friday. And then, of course, the Mavericks on Sunday afternoon, both at home. So it looks like the Thunder will be the 3 seed. Unless some funny things happen, watch that Phoenix-Minnesota game. That could maybe, if the Thunder can win the next 2, maybe that's the one that could elevate the Thunder to the 2 seed. But if they stay at the 3 seed and if the playoffs end today, they would host New Orleans in the opening round series. If Phoenix can somehow get that win, New Orleans maybe slips up. I don't know the tiebreaker between New Orleans and Phoenix. I'm hoping for a Phoenix Oklahoma City first round series. That'd be the most watched series out of all of them, I believe, because of the storylines with Kevin Durant in Oklahoma City. So good job, Thunder, last night, staying the course and getting the win. Some quick hitters at Elk City versus Clinton. That will happen today at 4:30. Of course, they were rained out on Tuesday. Did not play yesterday. We'll pick up, that's a district game they have to play. They'll play that one at 4:30. And then Clinton actually turns around and hosts Canute, small school Canute, going to 4A Clinton to take on the Red Tornadoes. I have a little interest there, being a Clinton grad and living in Canute. That's kind of interesting. So that one's happening immediately after the Elk City Clinton game over in Clinton. Big 12 baseball, there's some series that are going to start this weekend, some important series, starting with Oklahoma. They are right around the top of the Big 12 standings, and they host Kansas State this weekend, I believe. West Virginia is actually, by the Big 12 website, is number 1 in the standings, OU number 2. OU will host Kansas State this weekend, starting tomorrow, Saturday, and Sunday. Big series for OU in Norman, and they've been really putting together a campaign to get some fans out to Eldell Mitchell for that one. OSU, let's find out. They're right there at the top of the standings too. Kansas State's 3rd in the standings. Oklahoma State 4th in the standings. I believe they host Cincinnati this weekend. That's a winnable series for them, and I don't think they'll have any problem. Although Cincinnati, not that bad. They're around the 5 spot in the Big 12 standings. Softball, Oklahoma still on top of the softball standings despite losing that series for the first time in about 40 years to first time to losing a conference series in a long time to Texas. They still have a Big 12 record at 13-2. I believe they are back at home, hosting BYU for a Big 12 series as they got back on the course or back on the winning track against Wichita State the other night, 7-0. And they will host BYU. Oklahoma State, they're right on the heels of Oklahoma, number 2 in the Big 12 standings. They have who? Let's see it. They have Iowa State, and it's at Iowa State. So that's what it looks like this weekend for OU and OSU baseball and softball. Quick reminder, tomorrow, a really cool thing happening at the Elk City Fire Department, the Boots and Badges Blood Drive, the Love Like Coulter Memorial Blood Drive, sponsored by Beckham County Firefighters Association. It's happening tomorrow from noon until 6. The fire department's at 303 West 5th Street right here in Elk City. Lunch will be served to first responders and OBI employees for free. Others, they're asking for a slight donation. That'd help out. And you can get yourself a T-shirt and even a ticket to the Oklahoma City Zoo. So that's happening tomorrow. Elk City Fire Department, high noon, all the way till 6 o'clock. It's going to be a beautiful day tomorrow. Go give some blood for a good cause at the Elk City Fire Department, the Love Like Coulter Memorial Blood Drive. That's going to do it for me. Big thank you for Gabe sitting in, helping me out today. Big thank you to Alex Alvarez being our guest today, talking about the Masters and all things golf, really, and getting his incredible, knowledgeable insight of the game and this particular tournament that has just started. One more time before we sign off, looking at some scores. Van Ruin, I believe that's his name, even through 1. Knapp is even through 1. So the first round all even through 1 as they're just getting things off over in Augusta. And we'll have a recap of the first round tomorrow. Maybe we'll hear from Skinny tomorrow, get his thoughts as he's making his way back home. He'll be back with us on Monday. That's it for Thursday, though. Everybody have a wonderful Thursday. You've been listening to the Skinny on Sports on 98.1 FM, 1240 AM, KADS, the Sports Animal.
You've been listening to the Skinny on Sports podcast with Aaron Cow. Be sure to hit that subscribe button to get alerts of when the latest podcast is available. Thanks for listening.